Hello, welcome to Staring into the Abyss. I'm your host, Richard Gerlach. With me, as always, is Matt Brandenburg.
Hey, we are starting off strong.
And continuing the strong streak is Vitlam Mist.
Heyo!
What's going on, everybody?
Oh, just having a blast.
We got the special episode prepared for you guys today, which is going to be us recommending some of our favorite Black horror authors in honor of Black History Month.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a different conversation, and there's a few authors who we kind of talk about their works over and over again, but it'll be nice to just have a different perspective and a few different authors to direct our audience members to if they're looking for some Black horror.
Yeah, I think it's good. A lot of these, at least for me, I've probably talked about before, but I think it'll be good to highlight again and hopefully get some listeners picking up their books.
Can I make a guess of who you're going to talk about?
You can, sure.
Maurice Broaddus.
Maybe.
And Maurice Broaddus.
Oh, no. I have more than that.
I'm joking. I do love Maurice, though. He's great.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be silly.
I'll show Maurice some love, some indie love. So
I'm actually going to be showing him love when we're doing our weekly roundup in a few minutes.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. So why don't we just get that on the road, get that rolling, and that way we can get this a nice, succinct episode for the audience that isn't about 2.5 hours long. So, I'm not going to go over everything on my end because I wasn't here last week, and if I did all the media that I am doing, that would be too much. So, I am about halfway through All the Fiends of Hell by Adam Nevill.
Nice.
How's it going? It is such a good alien invasion novel. Like, Adam Nevill typically writes either folk horror or paranormal horror, but his alien invasion novel's intense.
Yeah,
it's really good. I actually, when it comes in, I recommend it. But this advanced copy is really blowing me away, so I can't wait for this book to come out and get in the hands of people. But the premise of the book is pretty much our main character opens the book having the flu. I think I talked about this before, and he watches his family members get sucked up in the sky in this weird fever dream.
Yeah.
Every surviving person he comes across all had the flu. They were all sick in bed while the alien invasion happened. That they just walk into an empty world. When he's wandering around the world, for the most part, the sky is a normal color, but in some places it turns a dark crimson. And in places where it's crimson, the aliens are there. And they're also invisible.
Crap.
So there's one scene where he's honking his car horn, and then he begins hearing car windows break from a long distance away. And then the breaking glass gets closer and closer and closer and closer. And he's like, fuck this, and just drives away. There's a terrifying scene where he watches a bunch of old people in a nursing home get slaughtered.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
It is Adam Nevill doesn't hold back in this book. It is very intense. I'm at the part right now where our main character Carl has met a military reservist member named Bob and 2 kids, and they're kind of forming a little survival group together.
So is this it's from what it sounds like, is this kind of post-apocalyptic? Are the aliens already done? Or this is right in the middle?
It feels like it's right in the middle, but it's they've only gone to a few places. They haven't gone anywhere huge yet. So it's hard to say, but I would say probably post-apocalyptic or during the apocalypse.
Okay. Nice.
Picture I don't know, that movie they're advertising, The Quiet Place, Day One.
Oh.
It's kind of like that. The alien invasion is happening right now.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't even watch the trailer for that. I thought, and I mean, because is there another one already? Isn't there two?
Yeah, there's a Quiet Place Part 2. I didn't see it.
Okay. I only saw the first one. I thought they
I've
did what
seen the second one.
was it.
You
Wait, we talked about it.
Yep, we
Yeah,
did.
your voice sounds very disappointed about that second movie, LeMay.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
Like I said, like when you have like a good fucking film like the first one, the A Quiet Place, they should always just stop at that. Like, yeah, the success is amazing. Yeah, just fucking stop because you're not gonna be able to build on up top of that because you wrote that movie as a fucking standalone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the displeasure of A Quiet Place where I watched it in China, and when they were doing all the sign language part, the subtitles were Chinese only.
Oh no.
So no, but here's the thing. That made the movie so much more immersive for me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure, what's going on, because I can't read the subtitles. If they were speaking Chinese, I could understand it, but like I couldn't read the subtitles. So I'm trying to piece together the sign language and what's going on, and like I was super invested into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like watching the movie under any other circumstances will be detrimental for my enjoyment, just because of how immersive my original watch of that movie was.
Second movie was just stupid.
Yeah, I thought the first movie didn't need a sequel, so I never saw the second movie either.
Yeah.
But the reason why I brought up Quiet Place is like, just to answer Matt's question, is like the alien invasion is happening in the book. Like it's not like the aliens have taken over; it's in the middle of them invading. But like I haven't got to the point where they really get to see the aliens yet. It's more like they either witness the aftermath of an attack, or they get close to being attacked, but they're able to kind of escape. So yeah, it's still pretty intense, but when I finish the book, I'll let you guys know what I think about it.
Nice.
But so far, it's really good. And also, I had to grab, and I started the other day, The Knights of Breton Court by Maurice Broaddus.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this one or not. This is like his first kind of published series.
Uh-huh.
And it's been out of print for a few years. But it's back in print now, and it's the omnibus. So it's everything all together, all 3 books.
Oh, that's cool.
And it is a inner city urban fantasy based around gang life in Indianapolis. Also based on the King Arthur stories.
I love all of that together.
Where our main character is supposed to be this gangster version of King Arthur. And the Green Man's in it as well. And like magic kind of slowly gets introduced in the series as it goes on and stuff. But it's like urban crime, urban fantasy based around the King Arthur mythos.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And so far it's really fun. It's not for the squeamish. There's some pretty fucked up shit that happens in the first 100 pages. There's one part where they torture a person by making them chew razor blades.
Oh, jeez.
And it is as graphic as you'd expect it to be, which is kind of surprising for Maurice because I don't know. Usually, he kind of holds back a little bit, but that scene was so vivid. I was like, damn. Like, but no, I like Maurice's work a lot, so I feel, and I've always wanted to read this series, so I'm happy it's back in print.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's called The Knights of Breton Court. And then besides that, I'll just be quick with these next few things. I spent the last couple weeks binging Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah, you've been talking about this one.
Oh, I'm done. I'm done now. I'm caught up, and that was tons of fun. So I treated myself to a rewatch of one of my favorite horror movies this week.
Okay.
The Kill List.
Oh.
Have you guys ever seen The Kill List?
Don't think I have.
I might have.
So it's very British, and I mean that in the characters have very thick British accents and speak using lots of British slang. So if you don't know slang or can understand British accents that well, it's kind of a learning curve for this movie. But it's about this guy who he was in the military and now he's home and he has a wife and he has a kid and he has all these anger issues he's trying to keep at bay, but his PTSD and his anger issues kind of prevent him from getting a job, and his family needs money and he's trying to get work, and he meets an old military buddy, and his old military buddy has become a hitman, and he recruits our main character into becoming a hitman. And they get a series of hits of people they need to take out. And every time they go to do a hit and take the person out, the person just says thank you before they're killed. And the more and more it goes, the more connected their hits become to a pagan cult.
Nice.
That's the movie. The movie kind of starts as like this kind of crime thriller movie, and by the end of the movie, it fully becomes a folk horror movie. And the ending is one of the most shocking horror movie endings I've ever seen. Like it's a brutal ending. It's like it makes you feel bad. It's a mean movie, and I mean that as a compliment. Like when a movie can make you feel bad, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And like this movie, it ends on such a downer note that you're like, fuck. I can't believe I sat through that. But it is a really, really great movie. And if you haven't seen it, it is on, if you have AMC Plus, it's on the IFC channel. Perfect. So if you have IFC, you can watch it there. But it is, I highly recommend it. And the only other thing I will say to make Vitlame, and this will make Vitlame happy, I have started Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't made it too far yet because I'm still trying to beat like a dragon Infinite Wealth before I dive really deep into Baldur's Gate. But
makes sense,
I made a tiefling paladin who has taken the oath of vengeance.
Nice. Just don't do the same mistake I did.
What was the mistake you made?
When I played with my tiefling, and she was a paladin of Oath of Vengeance as well. I hadn't even gone 1 hour into the game, and I broke it already. Like I broke the oath.
Oh, I haven't broken the oath yet.
Okay, good, because I thought what I did was part of a vengeance because I was helping Lacelle. She basically just told like kill those people, and I'm like okie dokie. And then I killed him, and then the Oathbreaker Knight came and you broke your oath. I'm like, oh snap! I wasn't supposed to do that. I was just helping my friend.
Were you penalized for breaking your oath?
What?
Did your character get punished for breaking the oath?
I just became an Oathbreaker, so.
Okay.
And to be fair though, like being an Oathbreaker is fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to uphold the oath as long as I can. I'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But, like, Baldur's Gate 3, the character creation alone is wild.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I love how Larian Studios is, like, super family, like, family friendly, super consumer friendly.
Yep.
All right, Matt, what about you?
All right. Well, let's see. I think the first thing I'm going to talk about is a graphic novel called Serial by Mark Russell. This came out, I should check when this came out. But anyway, this came out just last October. And this is kind of like a horror version of Serial mascots. So like Count Chocula and Lucky Charm, the Lucky Charm leprechaun, and just Boo Berry. All of these characters are in this, and it's a haunting ghost story about them, in which General Post is trying to take over the world and own everything, and so he is battling and killing all the countryside, so they all fall under General Post. And the Lucky Charms leprechaun is starting a resistance and needs Count Chocula to help him with this resistance. Everything is breakfast focus. So instead of Count Chocula holds a daily breakfast, like, and invites the townspeople to come to his castle. But he's a vampire, so he tries his best to hide from the sun while he does this. But it's awesome and so wacky at the same time. They took this bit of making these serial characters just scary and wrong, and they took it so serious that it's just amazing. So like all the Easter eggs of every type of serial thing, like there's a point where Quaker Oats he's helping Count Chocula because Count Chocula is cleansing the world of evil. So there's that, and then Captain Crunch is an evil, very evil pirate, and is just like taking people and making them his slaves basically, and it's just it's so much fun. There's a very tragic story about Frankenberry being somebody, like just being a normal person, and then this wizard. And I couldn't figure out who the wizard was tied to, but wizard is tied to some sort of breakfast thing. It like turns him into Frankenberry, and it's just this horrible, sad story about him never being able to be normal and having to continue to work for General Post because nobody else will accept him.
I just love that every single week you always bring out something bizarre.
Yeah, so,
I do too.
It's just like, what other weird ass shit has Matt been reading now?
Yeah. I always try to find something wacky and weird. So yeah.
Like you don't get them at the common bookstore, do you?
I got this at the comic book store, my local comic book store.
Okay, and then they didn't give you weird looks. So yeah, no, of course not.
No, the guy one of the guys at the store, we have a connection. We're always reading these weird things, and he's always pointing out other weird stuff to pick out. And then by Zach Chapman, who he does a lot of comics, and he's down with like the Ghoulish crew down in Texas. He's always kind of recommending stuff for me to check out. So yeah, so these are, so I usually get these recommendations, and then I have to spread the word to them.
Of course.
But yeah, this was a blast. I loved it so much. Everything is there, all the ties are everywhere. Snap, Crackle, and Pop are these three evil little people that do things, and the leprechaun is just amazing. What they did for him, and oh man, like they took
please tell me he's a villain.
No, he's not. Well, so he was king of his leprechaun people, protecting the five lucky charms that are in a crown, and those 5 lucky charms would allow you to have control over all elements and all wishes and everything like that. And so he didn't protect his people, and so now he's trying to do the right thing by protecting them, and he's very suicidal through the whole book.
I honestly would always imagine him as a villain.
No, he's good.
Because he's a leprechaun. He's a fae. Fae are assholes.
Well, yeah, but he felt bad because he didn't protect his people, and so he is not saying he's not an asshole in this. Just he now has the quest to right the wrongs of his people because they're all dead. So highly recommend this if you like, and the art's great, so that's always a good thing. But yeah, Serial, Mark Russell, if you can find it, definitely pick up this graphic novel. It's amazing. And I love the concept so much. So that's the main one. Only other one I have to talk about is I'm reading. This is kind of an older sci-fi fantasy book by Clifford D. Simak, who wrote The Way Station and a bunch of other stuff back in the 70s. and this is called
Oh, the way station's really good.
Way Station's probably one of my favorite books of all time. I just think it's such a neat like thing. So I was like, he has this book out, or a book that's called Enchanted Pilgrimage. Figured I'd give it a whirl, and it's good. I'm enjoying it. It kind of is that, and I don't know like the history of this, so there might be other books, but it takes the idea of like a fantasy setting, but also it's like past, post, like the world is, it's our world, but we're jumped into, it's not even in the future, actually. It's our world, but it just never had the Renaissance or post-industrial revolution or anything like that. So it's very stuck in that kind of time. But there's a wasteland, and the wasteland has some setting of modern day stuff, and all the characters are, there's gnomes and trolls and goblins and all this stuff, and they're all kind of together, and humans are trying to take over everything and get rid of all this kind of folk stuff. And the wasteland has the secret, of course, so it kind of follows that fantasy trope, but it's got some really interesting things in it. I just got to a part where they're discussing like kind of alternate realities and like parallel universes and stuff like that, which is, I mean, it's super popular right now. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. This guy was doing it way back then. But it's got his style, and Clifford's style is very much just, it's not quite cozy fantasy, but it's kind of that idea of like, you're not really, you see, there's a lot, there are action moments in this, but it's just a lot of talking to and kind of figuring stuff out and discussing of things and people sitting and chatting. It's not as deep as like say Tolkien, where he spends forever on a meal, but there is like, the action isn't the main focus, and it's more just these people kind of hanging out, but the action is there. I just did read a scene where these werewolf people absolutely tore a dude apart, and then they kind of like snapped their fingers and they brought the guy back to life to do it all again. So like that's pretty messed up. And it's pretty graphic, at least for the time. It was pretty graphic. So anyway, I'm enjoying it. It's fun to read another of his books. And yeah, I think that's it for me this week.
And Vitlame, what about you?
Haven't been doing a lot of reading as of late, but my husband and I, we started watching the season 2 of Invincible.
Yes.
And we're really, really liking it. It's so fun.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
It is.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the second half.
Yeah. We've only finished like 3 episodes so far, so.
You're close then. You're close to being done.
Yes.
Yeah. Wait for episode 4. It gets wild.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it's funny though. It took me a while to remember that the one who narrates Eve, voice acts Eve, is Gillian Jacobs.
Yeah.
And now I cannot not hear Britta every single time she talks. I'm like, oh yeah, so Britta became a superhero, and she just graduated high school, so I'm imagining she's probably going to go to community college. Well, where she'll meet her group, I guess. But I'm
how'd you enjoy the alternate universe opening in this season of Invincible?
I loved it. It was really good. I don't know. One of my favorite villains actually now are the Maulers.
Yes, mine
too.
The
Maulers are great. I love the Maulers.
Yeah, because it's like it's not that common to have like these big. They're doofuses, but they're smart doofuses.
Yeah,
I also love how they're constantly killing and cloning each other.
Yeah. I really enjoy those guys. I'm like, these are awesome villains. Please don't ever die, like permanently die.
Yeah.
I love that dude who's traveling the multiverse as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. He's a really good character.
That's Sterling Brown, I think.
Sterling Brown voices him.
Nice. So yeah, I'm really really enjoying that one. And we actually just before we started recording, we just finished watching The Marvels.
Oh, how was it?
How was that?
Dear God, it was so bad.
Was it?
Yeah, it was really bad. I mean, I enjoyed Captain Marvel. Like,
Yeah,
I thought,
no,
I
I like
thought-
that
Captain
too.
Marvel got too much hate. I don't think it was
Yeah.
an amazing movie, but I thought it was
No.
a fun movie.
Yeah, it was
Like,
a fun
it was
movie.
it was genuinely a good time in the
Yeah.
theaters.
It was, but this was just silly. It was just they were trying to make it goofy. They had a fucking Bollywood musical episode in it, which made no fucking sense. I was like, wait. And then I tried to keep remembering, did I miss a movie with Captain Marvel? Like, did they do 2 movies with her?
Not really. No, I mean, like, unless you count,
But
like,
unless you count Infinity War or
Yeah.
Right?
Did you watch Miss Marvel?
No, but I am kind of intrigued to watch that. Like, I enjoyed that character. She was funny. Like,
Yeah,
she was a typical teen, and I was like, I like her. She's funny. She's awkward as hell. I like her.
Yeah, I think now because I haven't seen the Marvels, but I want that will probably help you with that. And they did some really neat, interesting things in Miss Marvel. I think you should definitely check that one out. They cover some stuff that I think is cool.
Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna watch that one, that show because that show looks endearing. It's like it's fun. It looks probably fun. It's endearing. You have awkward teenagers who is badly, coming to terms to being a superhero, and you're like getting Peter Parker vibes. So you're like, yeah, this is gonna be good.
And they I'm totally hopefully gonna get this right, and I apologize if I don't. But they cover in Miss Marvel when the British stopped owning India. Or there's a, and it's really like heartbreaking, this scene of just like this transition of power. I think it's what it is between it covers an important history in India and with people on trains and all this stuff, and it's really powerful and interesting. And so it anyway, I'm just saying, like, that part's really cool to see and like what that all means.
But I don't know. They decided to bring more types of goose.
Of course.
And I was like, it's not bringing me the cute factor enough because I know they're CGI as hell.
Yeah.
And they just kind of reduced Nick Fury as just being this bumbling idiot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just and I can a little bit relate because like in the movie he was basically just paying attention to the cat, just petting the cat, holding the cat, and like, I love you, coo, and I'm like, I mean, I'm a cat person, and if I were surrounded by people and I saw a cat in the vicinity, I would just be there. I'd be leaving the people and be like, I have no idea, I have no personal relation to you guys anymore because I see a cat. But but for him being such a integral character in the entire MCU, it's like, it's okay to do that for one scene, but then they kind of just do it the entire thing. And I know that Samuel Jackson is probably really tired of this character. And it probably shows because it was like, no, you're not as badass as you used to be. And that fucking musical scene, like, what the hell? Like, they were on a planet that Captain Marvel had visited, and she was like, yeah, I have some like personal connection to it. And you're like, wait, what? And I kept remember, like, did I miss a movie focusing on that? And no, I don't think so. They just put it in, and I'm like, okay. And like the entire people in that planet, they sing to communicate.
Interesting.
And I was like, okay, interesting. And then they reveal, like, there's this prince, and Captain Marvel is married to that prince. And I'm like, okay, but that prince better fucking sing too, because that would be moot then. And then he starts to sing, and they do a dance number. It's like I said, it's just all really weird. And then suddenly he starts speaking in English normally, and I'm like, wait, no, you can't break this. He needs to sing. He needs to be singing the entire fucking time. And then like Monica, the other character who was in WandaVision.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think her code name was Spectrum, wasn't it? Something like that. Anyway, she was like, wait, why isn't he singing? And they just said, oh, he's bilingual. And I'm like, huh? So you're just going to avoid this by saying he's bilingual? That doesn't make any sense. There were so many things that didn't make any sense. And there were just so many, like, awkward moments where they were just like, oh, we really vibe together. And I'm like, you just met. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
At least with the Avengers, they had time to, be around each other, and then they could like connect.
Yeah.
But they didn't there. They were all like, oh, through the power of friendship, we can do anything. And I'm like, no, guys, what the fuck? And my husband even commented like, there's a lot of like pushing the thought of love and hugging in that movie. And I'm like, I know, like, what the fuck? So it was just, they could have done better, guys. It might be
Honestly,
also because I have such a Marvel fatigue. It might just also be that. So I'm like,
I'm kind of done with Marvel, at least.
Just give me a good fucking female superhero movie.
Yeah, no, I feel this. I'm honestly tuned
Why
into Marvel.
is it so hard? Like, why is it so hard?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Why don't we not dig ourselves into a Marvel hole?
Yes.
And get onto our main discussion for today.
Yes.
Which is Black authors we highly recommend that you read and check out. And we'll each have a couple that we'll go through. My first one isn't really a horror writer, but she has written a bunch of horror. And I'm going to go with Octavia Butler.
Oh, that's good. I need to read Kindred.
I don't know if you guys have read Octavia Butler or not. Yeah. Oh, Kindred's really good.
Yeah, I've heard so many good things about Kindred, and I really need to read it.
My favorite book series, so she has a bunch of horror short stories. So like if you like short fiction, a lot of her short fiction, I would argue, falls in the horror category. But her novels, not so much. I would say, though, that her last novel, Fledgling, is one of the best vampire stories I've ever read.
Oh, yeah. I also need to read that one.
But my favorite series of hers is a trilogy called Lilith's Brood. And in these books, which is the first thing I read from her, and it's where I suggest a lot of people start, you can buy all 3 books bundled in like a paperback together. But the premise is Earth blew itself up in World War III.
Okay.
And while Earth has blown itself up and people are kind of recovering, these aliens come to Earth and they take all the humans off of Earth and put them on their spaceship. And they tell the humans that they do this to preserve species. And this alien race works in a way where like they don't want to see species go extinct because they want their DNA.
Oh, nice.
And so this alien race has 3 genders. They have male, they have female, and they have one that I can't pronounce. And that's supposed to be a mix of the 2. And the one that I can't pronounce is one that's kind of like a DNA storer. So they have all these humans, and they're aboard the ship, and they tell the humans that they're on the ship to be preserved, to be saved, and they can stay on the ship as long as they want. But in order for them to return to home and rebuild their civilization, they need to share their DNA with this alien race.
Oh.
And so our main character throughout the 3 books, her name's Lilith, and she's the one who agrees to breed with the alien race.
Crazy.
And the books kind of follow this on the ship. It follows when they get back to Earth, and then also how humans view her and her half human, half alien child as the books progress further. It is a fantastic book series, and I would highly recommend it. If you want something that's more post-apocalyptic or horror, I would recommend her Parable series, which she never got to finish. So she was writing a last book in a series for that one when she died. So we only have 2. But you have the Parable of the Sower and the Parable of Talents, and they are post-apocalyptic climate change stories that deal with a world that is entering an apocalypse state due to climate change and global warming. And it follows our main character, who is a hyper empath and feels others' pain. And she brings her Black community, who are being terrorized by other white people living in the area, as they leave their home and try to find a new place to become their new home. Those books are very relevant to what we're dealing with these days. I will say we find a lot of parallels to like the last couple of years in American history, stuff that happens in those books. But if you want a really good, like post-apocalyptic kind of climate change narrative, I'd recommend those.
Nice.
And if you want a time travel narrative, Kindred is a fantastic time travel book. Really, you can't go wrong with anything Octavia Butler has written. Why don't we go around one bit? So, Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I think the first one I would like to discuss is Tamika Thompson. She is a horror writer. I've read 2 of her things. Salamander Justice, which came out from Madness Heart Press, and this is just it's a short novella where our main character is starting to see salamanders and possibly turn into one that is sort of a monster to help kind of protect her / kind of strike revenge. And it's just, I loved it. It's great. Her other one I read was a collection of hers, Unshod, Cackling, and Naked. And this is just so many amazing stories in here. In fact, I have it right in front of me that I can kind of highlight. So this came out from Unnerving Books last year, I believe. And yeah, just these stories deal with like everything, kind of modern day stuff, just like dealing with being a Black American and family life and just all like tons of horror and just people turning into monsters and people fighting serial killers, like in some of those, or sex workers fighting serial killers, and just all walks of things in here, and and finding yourself and everything like that. And I just think she does the collection of stories. The one thing I also remember, because I think I talked a bit about this before, so I don't need to go too deep into it, but just she does this really cool, a lot of the stories kind of feel like almost creep show-esque. So, kind of this, I don't want to say there's humor in it, but it just kind of deals with that gruesomeness that like Creep Show did a lot, or Tales from the Crypt kind of dealt with, like kind of careful what you wish for, or you're going to get something bad's going to happen to you, and you're as the reader you can see it happening. But yeah, I think she deserves a ton of attention. Her prose is just excellent, and the things that she comes up with and the way she can kind of twist, like, not really tropes, but certain genre things and make them unique and make them her own is just so amazing. And yeah, it's I think more people need to check her stuff out. So yeah, if you like really scary, gruesome, some splattery kind of stuff, Unshod, Cackling, and Naked, it's great. If you like a little bit more of the weird and surreal, Salamander Justice was also great, because it's just as fun seeing this transition between a salamander monster, a giant salamander monster, and a person, and dealing with a relationship that isn't great. So yeah, Tamika Thompson, highly recommend checking her out.
Awesome. Vitlame, what about you?
I would always tell people to check out P. Jelly Clark.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Because his stories are super fascinating. They deal with a lot of things that African Americans have been dealing with in a lot of a lot, but he does it by mixing in fantasy and horror.
Yes.
And my favorite book with him is Ring Shout. I always recommend people that they should read the book Ring Shout, because he the way he did it is so good. In the he brings forth a really badass female character, actually a group of female characters, and they are basically kind of like a vigilante group who are hunting down the KKK. But in this, in his version of the story, his version in his story, the KKK are kind of like these Lovecraftian monsters.
Yes.
Yes. I would say it's like The Witcher, but instead of monsters, it's the KKK who are like monsters.
Yes. Just every single character there has his own voice, and I listened to the audiobook of it, and just the narrator managed to bring those voices in such a great and different ways that you can immediately just imagine them, visualize them so perfectly. And I really enjoyed it. And they'll just also he really has a way with bringing Lovecraftian horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right at the end of that book, when he was describing the monsters, it was intense. He also did a short story, prequel.
Oh, really?
In regards to this, that it has a connection to Ring Shout, and I think it's available on Nightmare Magazine.
Oh, I'll have to check that out, because Ring Shout is such a great fucking book.
I mentioned it when we were talking about when we were discussing Ring Shout in our show.
Yes.
And I did say that I did read it, and it was really good. And it shines a light on this character that I can't remember the main character's name, that she meets in the middle of the story in order to gain access, in order to gain more power to beat those Lovecraftian horrors. She gains, and it she has a little insight in how that specific character, not the main character, but the character she meets, becomes what he is in Ring Shout.
Huh.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. He definitely check out his works. He has done fantastic jobs with stories.
Sounds awesome. I'm definitely going to have to look them up. One author the last author I'm going to talk about is, I'm trying to get his name. I'll make sure I get his name down properly, because I know I'm going to mispronounce it if I don't read it. So
Gotcha.
Just give me one quick second. So it's Andre Duza. And he put out a book a few years ago that I loved. It was put out through Deadite, called Don't Bleep with the Colors.
Nice.
I talked about it on Abyss a very long time ago. Before Vitlame was even part of our show.
Okay.
But pretty much the Don't Bleep with the Colors is a novella, and then 2 short stories that follow after it. But the novella is in the world of the story. The Coloreds are a group of people who are born from television and cartoons, and how they act doesn't agree with the laws of reality, and they just kind of fuck around and cause mischief. And they're kind of in the story, a bunch of cops are called to a retirement center, and these Coloreds have taken over the center and have warped reality into an insane cartoon world that our characters are trying to survive through. And it is bonkers. It is weird. It's honestly up your alley, Matt, to be honest with you.
It sounds amazing.
And if you just look at the cover, even the cover of the book is like way out there. But it is just such a weird, bizarre, and fun novella. And the two after stories in there are more like bizarre horror, but there are Retrograde and Night of the Day of the Celebrated Folks. And both of those stories were a lot of fun. Another I'd recommend by him to check out is, I know he mostly does like movie stuff now, but he has this one book that's called WZMB, and it's one of the best zombie novels I've ever read.
Nice.
It was also put out through Deadite, but it's pretty much a zombie novel that's told through the point of view of a shock jock.
Oh, I love it.
So like our main character was a shock jock before the zombie apocalypse happens. Then the zombie apocalypse is about 6 months ongoing when the book is written, and society's starting to get back to normal, and our shock jock goes back on the air to have a new show in this zombie apocalypse.
That's amazing.
But like Andre Duza's stuff is heavily worth checking out, and I hope he's writing again, because I'd love a new book from him. But Matt, who's next from you?
Yeah, okay. So I think, oh man, it's tough because there's so many I want to call out.
There are so many. Like I was between Andre Duza and just doing N.K. Jemisin, because she has like short horror fiction, but I'm like, N.K. Jemisin is mostly fantasy, and everyone knows N.K. Jemisin.
Yeah, so this one, well, this is tangentially tied to horror, and it'll make sense in a second. So Alex Jennings and Ballad of Perilous Graves, which I talked about last year, and I'm gonna keep touting this book. It's tied to horror because Alex Jennings was an editor on Vastarian with John Padgett, so they're friends, and they did this, and it was actually John Padgett who recommended this. But this book needs all the attention in the world. It's so good. It's a huge love letter to New Orleans. It's sort of fantasy, sort of other reality, where there are ghosts that just hang out, and people all know these ghosts in New Orleans, and music plays a huge part of everything. Music is the magic of this world and this New Orleans. And going back to when I talk about the Enchanted Pilgrimage, it's kind of alternate parallel dimension, like two New Orleans on top of each other, a magical kind of fantastical world, and then the real world, but the two are kind of seeping over, and there's a monstrous hurricane that's coming to kind of wipe out this magic and the music of New Orleans. And it's just it absolutely amazing. Everyone needs to read this, because Alex just all the prose is just lyrical music, and the way he describes things and the way he puts situations and everything in it, it's just all music, and I was just enthralled throughout the whole thing. And I've never been to New Orleans, but like I have to be there after reading this, just because it sounds so amazing. Like it just what he does to it, and for like horror people, there's lots of the ghosts, and there's kind of these spirit things that are coming to take over, and it's really cool how he sets them up and how they're coming to kill songs, because there's like 7 or 9 songs, I think, that are kind of like the keys to keeping the magical side of New Orleans going. And this like one evil song is coming to kill all the other ones, and then there's like this whole thing. But it's just, Alex is amazing. I think this is his first book, and this being a first book is just like mind-blowing, because it is just like perfect. And if you liked the Changeling, and if you liked a lot of these other kind of, talking about like Octavia Butler and N.K. Jemisin, if you liked all of them and kind of that fantastical kind of realism that they do, this one is right up your alley and it highly needs to be checked out. So Ballad of Perilous Graves, Alex Jennings, it's amazing.
Sounds awesome. And Vitlemay, what about you?
I mean, we kind of also need to mention Victor Lavelle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because we covered his novella, The Ballad of Black Tom.
Yeah.
Did you hear the Victor Lavelle news, by the way?
I did, about the Terror season 3.
Yeah, season 3 of the Terror.
Oh no, I didn't.
So okay, season 1 of the Terror was based on the wow, I'm blanking on the name of
Dan
Simmons book. And fuck Dan Simmons. Don't like Dan Simmons. Season 2 was based on the Almakatsu book about the Japanese internment camps.
Okay.
And season 3 is based on Victor Lavalle's novel, The Devil in Silver.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So shout out to Victor, because he just had the Changeling show.
Yeah, have you guys watched it?
That was great. And they has another show coming out.
Have you guys watched the Changeling?
I did. I thought it was pretty good, but I had some issues with how they did it. But overall, I thought the show was pretty good. The main issue with the Changeling, and this isn't Victor Lavalle's fault, it's a very convoluting story that works better as a novel than it does as a TV show. And that's not his fault. Like, it's just he wrote a convoluting, winding narrative that works better as a book.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. But I really love the Ballad of Black Tom. It's like
that's a great novella.
Yeah, it's just really nice because, like I've been saying so many often times here, that I'm not that well versed with cosmic horror, but getting to know it through the eyes of other authors instead of H.P. Lovecraft, and just see them like make it blossom in ways that I like really appreciate it. It's awesome.
Can I share a funny H.P. Lovecraft joke I saw the other day?
Oh god.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's like a time travel joke, and it's H.P. Lovecraft coming modern day, and he's like, "My time travel sure interesting. I can't wait to see about all the achievements he's come in modern day." And then he looks at the washing machine, and the washing machine just goes coloreds and whites, and he starts staring at it like he popped a blood vessel. And the other guy was like, "Lovecraft, oh no, Lovecraft, no." It just kind of ends there.
Nice.
But no, it is nice because, like, if you think, and I don't mean to take your thunder, Vit, in the mail, I'll get back to you in a second.
That's fine.
What I think is nice about Lovecraft is, let's just say nice, but a fault of Lovecraft is, like, his racism is all throughout all of his stories. It's more noticeable in some, but, like, it's throughout all of them. And it's cool seeing authors like Victor Lavelle kind of flip the script.
Yeah.
But you can finish up, Vitlemay. I apologize.
That's fine. It's fine. I mean, I always just want to tell people to, if they want to experience other kind of Lovecraftian horror, you should definitely go and check out what African American, what BIPOC authors have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they really know how to do it. And I really want to read Lone Woman next, because I've like
really good.
Yeah, because he's been getting a lot of great ratings for it.
The audiobook for that's fantastic.
I need to like, I don't have a credit for it right now, but I did get one book that I'm really excited to listen to, and that's also in favor of Black History Month. It's called I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me by Jamison Shea.
Ooh, what's that one about?
It's basically how from the synopsis, I kind of feel like it's Black Swan meets Lovecraftian horror.
I am sold.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
My
amazing.
my audio listen for Black History Month, I can't say the title of the book, but it's Dick Gregory's first memoir.
Oh, okay.
The title is just the N-word. That's why I'm like, I can't really say the title of the book.
Yeah, makes sense.
But it's Dick Gregory's first memoir, and Dick Gregory back in like the '60s, he was a very big like comedian and an American entertainer, but he was also a civil rights activist. And so this memoir kind of covers his life from growing up as a poor child from a single mother in an overcrowded house to becoming a successful comedian to becoming a civil rights activist. And it kind of follows his life through those parts. And I think if you're a white American and you think the civil rights movement was long in the past, or you don't know what life was like for Black people before the civil rights movement, this is a book you should read or listen to, because it's really eye-opening to some of the experiences that Dick Gregory had to go through in his life. It's also pretty funny at points too, because he was a funny guy. But that was my Black History Month audio listen. But hopefully our audience, you guys got some good books, good authors to check out.
Yeah, I think we covered some good. I mean, there's so many. It was so hard because
There's too many. It's hard to cut it down to two. We didn't want this podcast to go on forever.
Yeah,
because I could easily pick like so many more authors.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Keeping it short, keeping it entertaining. We hope you all enjoyed. And Matt, where can listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, Twitter at BrandenburgDM, and I have a website, just my name, matt-brandenburg.com. And I guess I'm on Blue Sky too, but we cover that all the time. So that's just my name. So yeah.
All right. And Whitley, what about you?
I'm on Twitter at WhitlemyS. I'm also on Blue Sky at WhitlemyMist, and on Instagram at Fangs@Light.
Perfect. And you can follow me. You can follow Abyss on Twitter with @IntoStaring, which I'm going to start using a little bit more for promotion. And you can also follow me on Blue Sky with my name, Richard Gerlach. And this is Richard Gerlach saying, keep staring.